sprinkles, Santa Claus's special elf. Because everything is special with sprinkles. Santa Claus knows you're special too, and he has something to say to you. So listen close as Santa Claus shares holiday cheer with you. You can leave a special message for Santa Claus and get on the nice list at www.santaclaussays.net. Now here is the big man himself, Santa Claus!
Ho, ho, ho! Merry Christmas! Merry Christmas to all the children of the world. And Santa Claus says, be good for goodness sakes, because Christmas is coming! Christmas is coming! Just less than a week from now. Oh my goodness, are you ready? Are you ready? Are you ready for Christmas? My goodness, myself and Mrs. Claus and all the reindeer and all the elves, Sprinkles and all the other elves are all getting ready, getting excited about Christmas. I hope you are too. And one of the ways we can get excited and get ready for Christmas is being right here on SantaClausSays.net, where we do three things. We give you Christmas cheer with a couple of Christmas jokes. We read a wonderful story. We've got a wonderful news story to read here today. And then we also have a letter to Santa. And we always read those, and we get those from our website, which is SantaClausSays.net. And that's where you can go and you can leave me a message, which is on a voicemail or an email or a text message, and I will get those messages and I'll return a message to you. And you can get excited. And don't forget, on Christmas Eve, you can always leave me a cookie, some cookies, and some hot cocoa. Love that. Love that so much. You can always find me, SantaClausSays.net. The podcast is at the website, and it's also on Apple Podcast and on Spotify. Then every night we go live on YouTube at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. So you can find us at youtube.com/at Santa Claus Says. Well, there's the glockenspiel, boys and girls. And of course, that means it is joke time. And we need to have a couple of fun jokes here. Sprinkles and I were talking about this, and she gave me these jokes here. See what you think about what Sprinkles has. How did the pony break its Christmas present? It was horsing around. Why did the baker give everybody free cookies for Christmas? Because he had a lot of dough. Sprinkles has some good ones. If you got some good jokes, some good Christmas or Santa Claus or reindeer or elf jokes for Santa Claus, send them on to me at SantaClausSays.net. I would love to hear them. Well, boys and girls, that is the glockenspiel chimes, which means it's time for our story time. And we got a special story today it's from the country of Finland. And that's pretty close to the North Pole where I live at. And so the country of Finland is called Christmas with the Goblins. How about that? So let's start reading this story here today. It's called Christmas with the Goblins. On Christmas Eve, many years ago, there lived two children in Finland named Frederick and Lotta. Frederick, who was 10, was stout and noisy and always seemed to be playing pranks on the others. He had, however, been trying to behave himself, for he knew the Yule goat would soon arrive for his annual Christmas visit. Frederick's younger sister Lotta was also eagerly awaiting the goat's appearance. That's one of the ways they celebrated Christmas in Finland. The Yule goat is a gruff old creature, but he always brought many presents to good Finnish children, and she was sure they would have at least 25 boxes this year. The children paced impatiently about their living room, peering out the windows for a few seconds. Finally, there came a loud knock at the door. Boom, 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 boom. And sure enough, in strutted a big, hairy goat. He gazed down at the two children and asked in a rasping voice if they had been good. Oh, yes, they said. They exclaimed. Very well, he replied. But I must tell you there will only be half as many boxes as usual this year. But why? Said Frederick and Lotta. Well, said the goat, on my travels to the far north, I peeped in the doors of many poor cottages and saw so many little children who hadn't even a crust of bread that I gave half of my Christmas boxes to them. Was I not right in doing so? You mean, cried Frederick, I'll only get half of what I got last year? Why, even the goblins will have a better Christmas than I. Yes, indeed, pouted Lotta. It does seem the goblins are better off than we are tonight. Very well, sniffed the Yule goat. If you think so, I will take you to the goblins at once. Saying this, he seized Frederick and Lotta and carried them off in spite of their struggles to get loose. On and on they went, quick as lightning, but suddenly the children found themselves all alone in the middle of a large forest. Snow was all about, and they were frightfully cold, and they could even hear the wolves howling. They both began to scream and cry, but the more they shouted, the nearer the wolves seemed to come. Come, Lotta, yelled Frederick, we must run for shelter. This way, she cried, I think I saw a light. They scrambled through the huge snowdrifts over fallen trees and bushes, and soon came to the bottom of a towering icy mountain. On the mountainside, they discovered a little door with a faint light leaking through its cracked opening. They pushed it open further and tiptoed through, and to their amazement, they found themselves looking upon a huge and horrid festival. Too late to turn back. The wolves were scratching at the door behind them. Full of fear, Frederick and Lotta gazed into a large, dim hall. There were thousands and thousands of goblins and trolls, wrinkled and hunched and grizzled before them, and they carried glowworms and twigs, and which had light coming from them. Should one to make a grand light, he would stroke a black cat until the sparks began to fly. But there were many others which shrieked, Stop, stop, stop! It was far too light. No one could stand such a glare. Now, one of the strange things about the trolls and goblins is that they hate light. This is why they were holding at such a feast right then, for they had observed the days were becoming shorter and shorter, and the nights longer and longer. They thought, as they do every year, that at least there would be no more day and only one great black night. For trolls and goblins, like people, are inclined to believe whatever they wish will happen. And so they were wildly happy. They danced and screamed in the mountains, keeping a Merry Christmas in a most horrible fashion. Well, this is an interesting story. We're going to pause the story right there because Christmas with the goblins means that something interesting is going to happen, doesn't it? But we're going to come back to that story on tomorrow. We want to remind you we've got lots of great stories we tell about Christmas time and festivals around the world right here at SantaClausSays.net. You can hear some of the stories in our former episodes and then look forward to new ones as we come up, especially as we get closer and closer to Christmas itself. Well, there is the Glockenspiel, boys and girls, and that means it's time for our letter to Santa. And here is our letter to Santa. It is from Serenity. And Serenity says in her letter, Dear Santa Claus, you're the best in the world. Ho, 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 ho. What a wonderful thing to say. And then she goes on to say that she would like a Christmas tree for Christmas. And then she says my name. She says her name, the name of her sisters, which are Angela, Angel, Maya, and Sherelle. So she talks about her sisters, and that's good too, and about her mother as well. And then she says she would like some makeup and some whatever presents, some makeup and some magic, and some other things too, and some presents. But we have one of the most important things that she says is I don't want to be greedy. I would be accepting of any present you might bring me. And so I would appreciate that. And so that's what I wanted to say, how wonderful it is but the letter that you wrote, Serenity, because you are saying that you want to be generous. You want to be generous and helpful to your mother and to your sisters and to other people in your life. And then she goes on that it's getting close to Christmas and she would like to give Santa Claus a hug. Santa Claus loves hugs, that's for sure. Well, I love to hear from children like Serenity, and love to hear from children, boys and girls from around the world like you, because there are so many wonderful children that are on my nice list. And I want to hear from you because you are important to Santa Claus. Now, how you can do that is you go to santaclaussays.net, and that's the website. And right there, you can leave me a voicemail, or you can leave me a text message, or even an email. And then you can do that. And you can reach out to Santa Claus, and I will reach out to you. Well, boys and girls, the glockenspiel means it's just about time for us to say goodbye here on this episode of Santa Claus Says. Remember, here on Santa Claus Says, we do three things. We bring Christmas cheer, we tell a story, and then we read a letter to Santa. And we're glad to do that, to bring a little Christmas cheer into your life. And your opportunity is to spread some Christmas cheer to somebody else. And we hope you'll do that and point some of them right here to santaclaussays.net, where they can listen to the podcast on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And then every night, catch the YouTube show at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time at youtube.com/Santa Claus Says. It's be good to be with you. I want to remind you that we have two special shows coming up. On Christmas Eve, which is not far off, we have the reading of The Night Before Christmas. You know the story, the night before Christmas, and all through the house. Not a creature was stirring, not even a mouse. I read the entire story here on Santa Claus Says on Christmas Eve, December 24th. Then on December 25th, Christmas Day, the most important day of the year, we celebrate the birthday of Jesus by reading the original Christmas story from the Bible about the birth of Jesus, because that is the most important thing of all about Christmas. Much more important than Santa Claus, much more important than the presents and so on, and much more important than anything else is the birth of Jesus. So we'll read that story on Christmas Day. So I want you to join me on Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, and every day between now and Christmas here at santaclaussays.net. Until I see you again, boys and girls, on another time, this indeed is Santa Claus saying to you that Santa Claus says to be good for goodness sakes. Goodbye, boys and girls.
You're special to Santa Claus, just like sprinkles. Get on Santa's nice list at santaclaussays.net and watch Santa Claus Says live on YouTube. Tell him sprinkles sent